Hello, students, and welcome to the class of Standard 10, subject English. Today, we are going to do the last chapter of the English textbook, that is, The Old Man and the Sea. This lesson is a book review. The story of the book goes like this. An old and experienced Cuban fisherman has a run of terrible bad luck and is unable to catch any fish for 84 days. His young and devoted apprentice, Manolin, has been forced by his parents to start working with another fisherman. The old man resolves to sail out farther than all the other fishermen and attempt to catch the really big fish. On the 85th day, he succeeds in hooking a marlin with his bait, but the marlin is too strong for him and starts pulling the boat. The Old Man and the Sea is the story of the old man's struggle with the marlin and his later battle against sharks. So, this whole story is a very beautiful one, especially in the scenario of those times when people were struggling. What they were struggling through, that we will do in the later slides. But this is a story of an old fisherman who his apprentice are the helpers. He had a small young helper, but the helper's parents they forced him to work with another fisherman because this old fisherman was not earning well, or he was not actually succeeding in his fishing profession. So the old man, he resolves to sail on his own, and he wants to go further away from the other fishermen so that he will get something extraordinary or something more than the other fishermen. He goes there, he succeeds in hooking the marlin, but the marlin is a very difficult fish to handle, and the whole struggle with the fish and the storm and the difficulties that the fisherman has to face is all described in a very beautiful manner in this novel written by Ernest Hemingway. Social and historical context. Hemingway's novel is based on real events, and it also draws heavily on his own life. He had experience of fishing in the Cuban waters, and like the old man, he was also a fan of baseball. He worked for the Red Cross during the First World War and was injured by shrapnel when he was in Italy. Hemingway always talks about the need to struggle against defeat or death, and how determination and endurance can help one to win in this struggle. The old man is at the end of the novel very near death, but we know that the story of his suffering and loss will live on in the memories of the people of his village. Ultimately, his story becomes one of triumph because the tales of his life will live on even after his death. The novel was published in 1952 when people were trying to recover from the mass destruction wrought by the two world wars, and this tale of endurance and ultimate triumph immediately struck a chord with the readers. So, this story basically was very popular and famous at that time because it was very relatable. People could connect to it. And especially Hemingway, when he spoke about the struggle of old man, he was also indirectly picturizing his own self, because he also had to face various problems, struggles, and difficulties in his life. Few are mentioned here that he was part of First World War. He served the Red Cross, and because of an injury with a shrapnel. Now, shrapnel is a kind of a tool in which weapons are stored. So it is kind of a bullet with which he got injured, and he also struggled a lot. But he's trying to portray the same image of the old man who struggled, But he was victorious because of his endurance and determination. And when people learned about him, when people read about him, they also gained hope from him. His character became quite inspirational. The old man died in the fish in the sea with his struggle, but his struggle was very motivational. People will always remember him in his village because of his determination. And they will never call him a loser because he was victorious. So ultimately, this story or the struggle of the old man, it turns out to be a triumph or a victorious story. And this was a situation of everybody at that time when the people were struggling to come out of the mental and emotional and social financial struggle, everything that they had to face during the two world wars. It was very difficult for all of them, so they found this novel very very relatable, very very catchy, and very inspirational at the end. Writing style. Hemingway's language is simple and pithy. He mostly writes in short and straightforward sentences and practices an extreme economy in his use of words. This simplicity is deceptive, and a reader can read his work again and again and find new layers of meaning every time. His writing was very easy to understand. People found it very relatable. When we talk about pithy, it means concise and meaningful. There was a lot of meaning hidden to it, and it was always motivational. People felt so much of connection in his writing when they read his work. And Hemingway, especially, whenever he was writing, he himself was taking inspiration from real life incidences, from the people around, from characters in his own life, and then this was adding more meaning to his writing, and his writing was becoming even more cherished, and people enjoyed it. People would like to read his work again and again, and every time they read it, they would find different meaning to it. And his reading, there is simplicity. The simplicity is deceptive. Deceptive in is trying to deceive. Okay, you cannot trick or mislead. Okay, it is quite simple, and his language was simple, and mostly he wrote short and straightforward sentences where people would understand easily, people would connect. And his characters were also such that their dialogues and their emotions were put in such a way that it would reach to the audience, it would reach to the readers, and the readers would connect to it. So every character, every dialogue that he wrote, or every sentence that he wrote in his writing was very straightforward, very meaningful, and it would touch the chords of the hearts of people. My thoughts. I first read this novel years ago when I did not understand it at all and was left unimpressed. In spite of this, a vivid image remained with me: an old man holding on to his fishing line with the last of his strength. Recently, I read this book again and was extremely moved. The formidable strength of the old man's character, the quiet devotion of the empathetic Manolin, and the relationship between the two are heartwarming. Hemingway's descriptions of the sea and the creatures of the water are beautiful. The marlin fights for its life desperately, and it's hard to know whether our sympathies should lie with the old man or with the marlin. But as the novel progresses, the old man and the marlin are inseparably linked because both stand for the same ideals, that is, a noble struggle against destruction. So, like I said earlier, the writing of Hemingway is quite easy and quite simple. This person who read it, the reviewer of this novel, he did not understand it in the beginning, but he had some kind of impression on his mind, and that is the beauty of the writing of Hemingway, that he lives imprints on the minds of the people, and that's why this impression forced the writer of this lesson to get back to the novel and read it again. And when he read it again, he understood the story and he was moved with the story. Every character and every situation left him empathetic, and he was touched with the relationship between the characters, and the struggle of the man, old man, till his last breath was commendable. He holded on because he wanted to survive, and the fish also did not want to give up. So on both the sides, it is also trying to showcase how in the world wars also people were trying to make the ends meet. They were struggling, they were just trying to survive somehow. So the readers also can get confused whether to sympathize with the old man or with the fish, because both are struggling to live, which is a very basic thing. But then finally at the end, the struggle takes a very different route. The old man has to sacrifice, but still whatever struggle he had to go through, and his willpower, his determination was commendable, and that cannot be forgotten. And the noble struggle against destruction, okay, was inseparable. There are few new words that we get to learn in this lesson. Let us read them. Apprentice, a person who works for another in order to learn a trade. Marlin, any large saltwater game fish species having pointed spear-like upper jaw. You can have a look at it on the screen. Shrapnel, a hollow projectile containing bullets or the like, and a bustling charge designed to explode before reaching the target and to set the show of missile. Wrought, worked. Pithy, brief, full of vigor. Formidable, causing fear. Since this lesson is a book review, let us now learn how to write a book review. Before writing a book review, it is obvious that you need to select a book of your choice which will be useful to you, which will be giving you some values, and which is suitable to your field. So, once you select a book and you read the book, it is a basic rule that you need to write a book review within 1 or 2 weeks after that. Because what happens is later on when you go to write the review, you may miss out certain points, and then it is unfair to the author of the book and also to the book. So it is always recommended that you write a book review within 1 or 2 week maximum. Now when we write a book review, there are few steps that we need to follow. The first thing is introduction. Name the title of the book and explain why you wanted to read this particular book. Okay, anything of interest, or any particular thing that brought you to that book, you can mention in this introduction part. Okay, also when you're writing a detailed review, you can also mention the author, where is he from, and the pages of the book, the publication, the year of publication. All these details can also be mentioned. The first paragraph, you write the introduction of the main character in the book by giving a short description of what they are like and any conflicts they have to overcome. Okay, this paragraph will be giving a general introduction to the character, not in detail, but at least when the reader reads the review, he should be able to picturize the character in front of him. So everything, all the positives and negatives of the character should be written in this paragraph. Paragraph 2. Write a short paragraph on the plot of the novel. You can include the following details. What is it about? Where is it set? Is it happy or sad? And what genre is it? So this is talking about the whole novel. the background to it. Okay, any significance to the plot, where is it set, why is it set in that particular location or in that particular year, is there something more to be added to it. For example, in the book review that we did just now, The Old Man and the Sea, it is giving us a review of the plot by saying that it was during the World War, okay, and the background to it, and what was the writer's intention behind writing this story. So all these details will come into the second paragraph. Paragraph 3. Discuss your favorite part of the novel and explain why it was the most exciting part. You can explore whether or not it was something that you expected to happen. Okay, this paragraph can also include your negative review or negative feedback, whether why you did not like a particular part or what was disturbing about it. Okay, and when you're writing about positives, you can also talk about the inspiration that you draw from that incident or the inspiration that you draw from that particular character. Okay, and why that story was so catchy, or did you feel like reading the book again because of that particular incidents. Okay, all these details will come in paragraph 3. Then you write the conclusion. For your conclusion, you can sum up your overall feelings about the book. Did you enjoy reading it? What did you learn? And would you recommend it to others? So this is summing up. This is at the end that you urge the audience whether to read, go ahead and read this book, or whether not to read, whether it was really interesting or it was not interesting. Okay, everything, all the overall feeling that you had after reading the book can be written in the conclusion. Evaluation. Students, I request you to read the lesson carefully so that you will be able to answer all the questions given here. Read the passage and name the following. First, young and devoted apprentice. Here we have to name the apprentice who was helping out the old man in his work, and his name is Manulin. B. The place where Hemingway had experience of fishing. Hemingway, this you can find on the second stanza, that he had experience of fishing in the Cuban waters. And so he also says that the old man also undertakes fishing there. C. Hemingway was injured by during First World War. We have to write the name of that weapon by which he was injured during the First World War, and that we also saw in the words that we learned in the previous slide. That weapon was shrapnel. D. Language of the novel. This is on page number 176. In the writing skills, we see that Hemingway's language is simple and pithy. Last question. In his first reading, the review, the writer was left. This is in the last paragraph of the lesson, that when he read the novel for the first time, he was left unimpressed. Write the root word after dropping the prefix and suffix or both. We know that prefix is something that is added at the beginning of the word, and suffix is added at the end. And root word is the original word which is without any prefix or suffix. First one, unable. Here we have to remove the prefix and the root word is able. Next, heavily. If we remove the suffix ly, ly, the root word will be heavy. Third, determination. Here we have a suffix shun. If we remove tion, the answer will be determine. Fourth, endurance. Again we have a suffix at the end. We have to remove runs and the root word will be endure. Fifth, unimpressed. When we remove the prefix un, the root word will be impressed. 6. Relationship. We have to remove the suffix ship and the root word will be relation. 7. Inseparably. Here we have both prefix and suffix. Prefix is in and ly is the suffix. When we remove both, the root word will be separate or separable. 8. Empathetic. Here we have to remove the suffix thetic and the answer will be empathy. 9th, beautiful. We have to remove the suffix full and the root word will be beauty. 10. Simplicity. We have to remove the suffix city and the answer will be simple. With this, we finish the lesson. Thank you.